5, 16, 19, 21, 30, 3 and 10. Check results. You remember?
I was wrong. Yesterday was not 110. Today's 110. But that's fine. It's fine. We make mistakes. We're only human. We're only human. Wait. No, I was wrong. We could be heroes just for one. Yeah. Anyway, things to talk about. Of course, I got a huge list at the moment. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling healthy. I'm so backlogged in topics at the moment. We used to pray. For times like these, man. Those times where I'd sit down with nothing to say, just like, oh, I had diarrhea. What else? I was raining right now. There's dog shit on the floor. Like, just like scrambling, and now it just feels great. The first thing I actually want to start off, and again, this has been taking up like a lot of my thoughts and bleeds into a lot of topics, whether it's about this particular thing or not, because I've just been really enjoying it recently. But the Bad Friends podcast, which I kind of got into because listening to Theo Von's podcasts a lot. Well, not a lot, just only when I was like guests I saw. So I listened to about 7, 8, and I was like, there's no other people I'm really interested in here. Theo one's quite funny. I listened to all of the ones with Bobby Lee and stuff. And I thought, let me check out Bobby Lee's podcast, Tiger Belly. But the whole vibe of it, I was like, I don't know. There's a couple chefs in here that I'm not really whatever with. But then, he's got his other one with Santino, and I was watching a bunch of the clips for that, and I thought, these are fun. You know what? Let me just start from number 1 and watch these all the way through, right? So I've basically watched all of them now. I've basically done it. Watched them all the way through. That is like hours and hours. When you deep it, it's like over 200 hours of content. And somehow I got through that so quickly. But I did. And here I am now. And there's something I've noticed, which is there's kind of people who make videos talking about drama, right? In quotes or whatever. About things that have happened around the show. And it's just like crazy because basically I saw this video because I was curious myself and I thought, okay, I'd like some factoids. This video is sort of acting like it's about to present me some factoids. And there was this guy talking about why Doc is no longer on the show. And I was thinking that. And I'm going to be honest right now. I prefer the show without Doc on it. I never found him that funny within the context of the show. And I think they're a show that likes to do bits, they like to like act or certain things out, and he's was never like in tune with that too much, right? It was nice to have just like as a very occasional guest, in sort of ask about his life and stuff. That was kind of interesting. But I prefer Jet Ski, who's on there now. I prefer Rudy, and they just offered better vibes as that third person. And Doc less so, but not only because of Doc, largely because I feel like the way Bobby and Andrew go when Doc's there is very much the humor is we're making fun of Doc. So it's like Doc will say something and you're just waiting for whatever he said, regardless of it, whatever it is. You're just waiting for like one of them to make a joke about him being small, a joke about whatever, and it just kind of like ruined what makes the show funny. It was like usually we're going down all these different avenues, we explore these different things. When Doc's here, everyone's just distracted by the fact that let's make fun of Doc, and it just wasn't that funny, right? But I was kind of curious because what I did like is that like he's clearly went through like a hard life, you know what I mean? He's like an older guy, and it's like I kind of felt good for him in that sense that maybe he's finally getting put on and he's gonna finally get the ticket sales up and be able to quit his job maybe because he's like doing the delivery thing right now and all that kind of stuff. So I was kind of curious like, what happened, right? And I watched this video. I just wanted to know, right? And it just reminded me after I finished watching, just like, well, that was bullshit. Basically, is what I thought after I watched it. I read through some comments and stuff, and it was very similar to. I remember I watched a video about like why. Like the whole Kalila thing and how like Andrew got Kalila on the pod to set her up because he knew the comments would eat her alive and he's such a mastermind stuff, and Kalila knows she's this and that. I was thinking, what did Kalila do? Because at the time I hadn't watched the breakup video on the Tiger Belly thing to understand why they'd split and all this other stuff, and it was just like, and then I watched the podcast after where Andrew's like, that's ridiculous, and it's just like all this other stuff, and you just think like people have so much headcanon about like just irrelevant things. Like just watch the podcast and enjoy it. Like, yeah, I'm curious, where's Doc, why is this happened, was that, but like people put out videos as if it's fact. Like Kalila did this, she did that, she deserved it, and you set her up here. And then everyone in the comments is like, yeah, like championing it. And this whole Doc thing, like, in my opinion, Doc just wasn't very funny and he couldn't cut it. He's got thin skin and could not take jokes. He did not fit well on the show, and ultimately he had to be cut. At the end of the day, sure, maybe Bobby was a little bit too aggressive with him, but at the end of the day, you're meant to be a comedian, dude. And if you can't cut it, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. Since then, Doc has made his own podcast, but 5 months later, he has only uploaded 2 episodes, and I watched one of them, and let me just be honest, I did not personally find it funny. And I just felt like you're doing all these shots at someone, right? As if like he did something bad, as if he's a bad guy. No, he's like, okay, this guy's a bad guy, so we can just like do cheap sort of jokes at him. He's doing a podcast on his own, man. You know how like hard that is, in a sense, to make it entertaining and for it to be funny. Like, it's not easy to do that. Like, I listen to a lot of one-man podcasts, and like, you're not laughing. Like, if I listen to like Bad Friends, that's a good opportunity for a really good episode. I'm laughing like most of the way through, man. At least like smiling at it, like watching on smiling, and you get the laughs out of you, right? Or got to rewind that bit. But like Theo Von, when I found his podcast, I'm like, wow, this guy's fine. Like, he's just some funny stuff. Like when he does the ones with Bobby Lee, it's funny, right? If you watch one of Theo Von's podcasts where he does them on his own, it's not the same. He's not doing a set right now. He's not got anyone to bounce off of or provoke funny thoughts. You're just there at your own thoughts. You just got to try and think your way through it. Like, it's hard. Like, and I know, like, if you want to make a one-man informative podcast, or like talking about like films or something where it's very factual and kind of give out points and it's interesting in that way, that's different. But to do it on your own and to make it funny is like, that's very difficult. Like the whole like knocking Doc for that, I just think so. I was like, he's just trying to build something, you know, he's still trying to chase that comedian. And this guy was basically saying, you know, I saw some of Doc's stand up and I think he just hasn't quite got the comedic chops. And it's just like, well, who are you to, it just feels like, it just feels like, I don't know, man, I didn't like it. And it was just like, I think at the end of the day, what's really going on is, you know, Doc was on the show. He would basically just get made fun of. Like, he was just like the pinata every single time he was on it. And the whole thing, like, if you can't take jokes, and, you know, everyone's got to be able to take jokes, and then we make fun of Bob. It's like, yeah, but it's with them, it's so much more occasional. With him, it's like, we're going to walk on and they're both going to just make fun of me and that. And it's probably like in their normal everyday lives, it's not like that. But for the show dynamic, it just kind of got to a point. I didn't watch the live podcast live stream one, but apparently they wrestled in that one, and like Bobby did some gay shit, like sus shit, not gay shit, but, you know, like, and Doc doesn't like all that stuff, and it's like, that's fair enough, man. Everyone's got their preferences, and like, he's told stories on the pod before about like what that same scenario happened when he was with his gay uncle or something, and he didn't like it at the time, and he was telling that story, right? So it's like, he clearly is never like that. He's got like things about that he just doesn't like it, and he probably just got like bored of being on the show. Like, you know, maybe they had an argument off screen about this and that, but like here's the thing, this is just, again, this is a headcanon. I'm just like, he got sick of that, he didn't like it anymore, I'm not going to do it anymore, you know. But like, you can't just be like, oh, that's probably what happened, and then be like, you know what, I'm going to make a video being like the reason why Doc left, and be like, Doc left because he would often show up drunk to work. You can see by these clips here. Doc, is that alcohol in there? No, man. Hey, Bobby. No, this ain't alcohol, Bobby. This is just the God's juice. As you can see, Doc is clearly trying to hide the fact that he has alcohol in his cup. These are clear signs of an alcoholic. It's very unprofessional to be, when you're given a platform, to be trying to, you know what I mean? It's just like, you can't just make videos like, he got kicked off because he's a drunk, he's not funny, he ruins the show, and he couldn't take jokes made at him, and he's an idiot. Basically called him an idiot because he said, there was the episode where he was getting kind of angry and defensive because he said he doesn't believe we should put scientists on this pedestal as the smartest people, right? And it's like, you know, when someone's making a point, this is like something I found really annoying, right? When someone's making a point in the podcast and you kind of like agree with them, or you see where they're coming from, but they're not like arguing it that well. And you're like, oh no, I actually see where you're coming from. At first you're like, what the fuck are you saying? But then you're like, oh wait, no, I actually see kind of what you're saying here. But you're not presenting the argument in like a way that is like working here clearly, because like they're just laughing at you, and it's just like, what he was saying actually isn't that mental. Like, what, like smartness, I don't think is even a word, so that's not a great start. But like, intelligence isn't even like, it's a real, it's not like a real thing. It's like nothing is real. Like time isn't real. We've made up time. We've decided how long a minute is, and like a day is when this happens, and a year is when this many times of this happens, and like this will constitute this and that. And it's like, money's not real. It's just a piece of paper we give value, and it's like all this other stuff, right? And it's like you could argue the same with intelligence. We've decided that what intelligence is it's because if we're talking about brain capabilities, right, on the base level, that's what like intelligence is, right? Like who has the maximum one? You can see where he's coming from. He's saying that we say, oh, if you're smart, it's because you're good at like sciences or maths, and that means you're smart. But you could be like great at music, or you could be great at like just art in general, or film, or you could be really funny, right? And you're the peak at that, and someone couldn't be the same as you in that thing, and you're like, if as a human species we decided to value humor over addition and like fucking science and equations and stuff like that, then and then all of a sudden the funniest people in the world would be like the most intelligent or whatever. I don't know. I can see the holes in what I'm saying as I'm saying it, but another thing he was also saying was that a lot of it comes down to just what your interests are, which I think I agree with even more so, because the whole like what I'm saying there is I can see the holes in it as I'm saying it. It's like yeah. But that's not I get that by the definition of we decided intelligence is like academic intelligence. It is this. So academically, Bobby isn't as smart as this guy. Yes, academically he isn't. But like the whole argument about how it's kind of just what you're interested in is kind of true. Like on the top level, like the top geniuses. Like if I had an interest in science, doesn't mean I would. Or like maths or whatever, I could be of Stephen Hawking level. No, but like the average guy who like became a lawyer, or who became like who works at the local hospital as a doctor, right? That kind of person, like just of the average level, there's a good chance if I had a huge passion for like medicine or something, that I could be a doctor. The reason I could never be a doctor is because I have no interest in it. And I mean, that sounds bad. Like, I don't give a fuck about life. Save yourself. No, but like I have, I don't have an interest in it. So if I was sitting there in like what's it even, like medicine school or whatever, I just wouldn't be able to focus. I'd be like, oh, this is boring. Like I would just be drowsing out. Like I wouldn't put the work in. I wouldn't study enough. I'd be doing other things. But if you have the passion for it, the interest in it, you're in there every day. You're absorbing like a sponge. You're doing the extra work. You become a doctor. Now, does that mean that you are like just this way smarter person than me? Just like I don't know, a skateboarder, just because my passions are this. It's like so much of it is down to your interests. Like when people say everyone has a talent, everyone's good at something, it is like actually true. It's just that whatever you're good at, you might not like. You might be really, really good at, or have the capabilities to be really, really good at like robot engineering or whatever, but you don't like it, so you've never tried it, you never want to try. But that could be like what you're amazing at, you just happen to be amazing at it. But instead, you like comedy, so you do comedy instead, you know what I mean? So I kind of get what he was saying on that point, to the set, because they was talking about if like a comedian said, I just saw an alien, not a comedian because they could be joking and you might just think they're joking, but like if a rapper was like, yo dog, I just saw it, there's me saying, I don't know. I mean, why am I getting nervous? I can be cancelled for immediately being a black guy when I said a rapper. I'm not gonna be cancelled. But yeah, I'm just overthinking other stuff now. That's not important. I'm not gonna be cancelled. Literally 20 people listen to this. But the whole, like, if he was like, yo man, I saw an alien last night. It was fucking crazy, dog. Like, I fucking saw it like a fucking flying saucer. It was fucking wild. Like, he said he would believe that guy less than if, like, a guy who was a doctor walked in and was like, last night I saw an alien outside my house. And he was saying, you're believing that off of what? Because because he has better, rationale, better logic, because he's a doctor. And I think in that sense, it's actually a fair point. He's not any smarter, really, than this guy. He just had an interest in this thing, which we hold to some high standard, therefore pursued it, became a doctor. And yeah, maybe this is like a bit of arrogance from my side, but I just believe me at least, or most people, could become, in that sense, pretty much anything they wanted to if they really had a passion for it and wanted to do it. Like, I just don't, like, I don't know, you go to school, you do it, you know, you have a passion for it, you're studying all the time, it's like your life, you're watching videos on it in your spare time even, you go to a school for it, and it's like you pass the tests, you get the degree, you know, you go to a hospital, you apply, you get into one of them, and there you go, you're a doctor. Now all of a sudden you're like one of these peak smartest people in the world just because it's your interest, not even because of anything else. I just think it's wild, man. I think there's fair points in there. So like this whole like docs like just some idiot thing. It's like you can have, you know, I don't know, you can have good ideas and good points and view the world in ways people just haven't before, or just don't even give the time of day to. But maybe, you know, you grew up with not as many privileges as other people, and you know, this and that, and you come in with a certain aura that people just don't take you seriously, you know, your point seriously. And I'm not talking about the people in the show. It's a comedy show. They can all make fun of it or whatever they want in the show, but just everyone in the comments of this video just like attacking it, being like, the guy's clearly a fucking idiot. It's just like, I think sometimes with people, you gotta like give the benefit of the doubt and be like, oh, I see what you're saying, and take the points out of what you're saying and be like, yeah, I get the point you're making. You're obviously not saying that if I decided to say I want to change profession and dedicate my life to this science, I'm going to invent the next light bulb type shit. But like, there's interesting points in there. And it's like, there's probably podcasts where people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, right, have said the exact same thing. And this is exactly his point. People probably heard that and took it as fucking like it was golden nuggets eating his arsehole. Like, oh my god, that's so fucking great. I never thought of it that way. Because Doc's saying it and it's not as eloquent, it's just like, it's immediately laughable. And this is coming from someone who doesn't even like Doc on the show, didn't think it worked that well. I don't know. I just looked at it, thought it was a bit sad, a bit harsh. I spoke about it for 16 minutes as well. The whole backlash. And I just think it's weird when people like make up this like fucking, they like a show and they become like so fucking involved in it. Like they think like the whole Santino, he's such a genius, getting Kalila on so she could get eaten alive and blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, Doc, they got rid of him because he was a fucking alcoholic and he just couldn't fit in. It's just like things, you know, people, they come and they go, and it's never as deep as you think, and people like forgive each other and they're getting little fight spats here and there. It's just like, it's all speculation and you're selling it as facts, and it's just all weird. And I just thought, I feel like talking about that today. I had other stuff to mention, but we've all been going like 17.5 minutes, so we'll call it there. 110. I thought yesterday was 110, today was 110. My throat actually fucking hurts after that. Because you know, I got back the Lil Man. You know, Lil Man being Dark McStuffins. Yeah, man, this was 110. I will see you in 111.
Here with the kids, and I had like 3 kids, and the geezer was probably on like maximum 20 bags a year. Like the most boring bloke you'll ever meet. He was like a hero.